We are 5 weeks into the season and value is popping up everywhere, and it's now time for you to make a move and make a trade in your league to hopefully give you that long-term value and success in your leagues to ultimately win your fantasy championships. So in this video, I'm going to give you 7 players that I think you should be looking to trade for in your fantasy leagues to give you that long-term success. My name's Mike, and let's jump into the video. Vincent Trocheck's season is officially here. This guy was an all-around stud last season, and if you drafted him where he was going in his ADP, which was around 100 to 150 depending on your league, he finished as a league winner last season, and we're seeing the same thing this year. Just last season, 22 goals, 63 points, 17 points on the power play, over 200 shots, and over 150 hits. If you're in categories leagues, he was a guy that produced every single week in every single category. He plays big minutes. He plays top 6 on a Rangers team that's extremely good. What we're seeing this season, he didn't have a very good October. His roster percentage has gone down considerably, and people are starting to neglect how good Vincent Trocheck actually is. But November has been a turnaround month for him. 3 goals, 7 points, 10 shots, 9 hits. But the big indicator here is his time on ice. Since the injury to Philip Hedl, Trocheck moved back up into a top 6 role in that second line and is playing 21 minutes and 26 seconds time on ice. This is extremely high for any forward, and in the last game he played over 26 minutes. You just don't see those numbers at all from really any forward across the league. His upside this season, 70 points, 20 plus power play points, 200 shots, and over 180 hits. Pretty much what we saw last season, which made him a top 50 player. Right now, his value is way above the 100 mark, so you can get him for relatively cheap in a guy that's going to be producing for the entire season for you. I do know the center position is extremely full, but if you are lacking in center, this is definitely a guy you want to be rostering, especially in those deeper leagues. In the 12-team leagues, you likely have 2 elite centers, but if not, Vincent Trocheck is a guy I'd be looking out for. Some players I would look to trade away for Vincent Trocheck: Jaden Schwartz, Brandon Hagel, and Jeff Skinner. Sticking with the Rangers, if you don't want to go for a deeper league guy or a more depth player like Vincent Trocheck, then go after a bigger name player like Mika Zibanejad. If you need to make a splash and you're looking at your current situation like I'm 1-4 right now, I need to make a deal, Mika Zibanejad is the perfect player for you to target. His early struggles right now are a perfect time for you to buy low. Zibanejad, over the last 3 seasons, he ranked 19th for goals for, and he ranked 19th for points for. He has been extremely consistent over the last 3 seasons and pretty much the entire time that he's been a New York Ranger. His shooting percentage is extremely low right now at just 5%. He's a career 14% shooter, so there's really no worry, as Zibanejad has been a guy that just continued to score goals season over season, year over year. There's really no panic on him right now, and his minus 2.3 goals scored above expected ranks him as the 24th most unlucky player in the league. He's still playing big minutes as a center 1 role, a power play 1 role on a Rangers team that has a very, very strong power play 1. Now you may be thinking, Adam Fox, he's hurt. Eric Gustafson's there. Now, this does diminish the value a little bit of the Rangers power play, but I don't think it's enough concern for you to be completely off Mika Zibanejad, who was a top 30 player off the board and is now about value 60 to 70, I would say, in most leagues. Although his current rank is around 100 to 150, it really depends on your league. I do think league mates will understand the value given they've probably drafted him in the 3rd or 4th round. Zibanejad is an extremely high floor, extremely high ceiling type player. There's really nothing you can go wrong with him. For me right now, I think the worry would be if the Rangers were struggling, but they're 11-2 to start the season. If they were something like 6-8, I would be a little bit more concerned. But because the team has had so much success, Zibanejad is likely to flourish off this success moving forward. Some players I would look to trade away for Zibanejad, it's hard to value him right now because he was a guy that was drafted early and his current rank is way down the board. But Clayton Keller, Evgeny Malkin, and Tyler Toffoli, I think, are very suitable options for you to acquire Mika Zibanejad. At the time of recording, just 36% of you are subscribed to the channel. So if you've enjoyed the content so far, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with all the content that we're going to be pumping out for the rest of the season. In addition, we have updated our projections for the rest of the season. If you're interested in gaining access to that, head on over to our Patreon. The link will be in the description. If you have any questions, make sure you leave a comment in this video or simply message me on Discord. Let's jump back into the video, guys. I really just can't get the Ottawa defense correct. And I know I was super high on Jake Sanderson, but things changed throughout the season. And now what we're seeing is Jakob Chychrun has stepped in and has flourished as the #1 defenseman on a really strong Ottawa Senators team. Since Chabot's injury, Sanderson did step into the power play 1 role, but it looks like he did lose it to Chychrun, who has been unbelievable since the injury to Thomas Chabot. First off, I went to look at his minutes. They're up +5 from when Chabot was healthy, from 22 to close to 28 right now, which is insane to see from any defenseman in this role. And since that injury, he has the 6th best shot rate, the 9th best shot attempt rate, and he has the 2nd highest time on ice. The shot rate and shot attempt rate is even more impressive because you are sorting and analyzing it by a per 60-minute rate, which does mean that if you play more minutes, you have to be shooting the puck more to actually have a very high rate. So it's really impressive right now to see how good Chychrun's actually been offensively. And that's what we've seen back in his days in Arizona when he did have Norris votes. He was an extremely high shot volume, a very high blocking defenseman that scored a bunch of goals. And right now, the Ottawa Senators are a really strong team. It's just not really showing in the win column, but they currently have the 3rd highest goals for per 60 this season. With Jakob Chychrun long term, I do think if he continues to play a massive role like we're seeing right now and continue to shoot the puck and put up points on the pace we're seeing, he does have the upside to be a top 7 defenseman, where he's ranked around top 10 to 15 depending on your league. This is a great time to try and acquire a defenseman with a very solid floor and an even higher ceiling. Some players I'd look to trade away for him: Morgan Riley, Shea Theodore, and Claude Giroux. Carter Verhaeghe is the next player that I have my eye on at 92% rostered over on Yahoo. He has been extremely good this season. It's just not popping up in the goal assist column. 14 games played, 6 goals, 10 points, 3 power play points, and 49 shots on goal. Now, there are 3 positive signs with Carter Verhaeghe on the reason why I think he is a perfect trade target. First, his minutes are up from last season. He played around 17 minutes a night last year, which is very good. Now he's up to 18 minutes in a top 6 role, and he's currently skating on the top power play unit. Bennett's healthy, Montour's back, and Ekblad is soon to be back. And with those 2 defensemen coming back, we don't really know what the layout's going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Verhaeghe sustain his role in the top power play unit, with Brandon Montour then quarterbacking and taking over Evan Rodriguez's spot, or Oliver Ekman-Larsson's spot. Now, the one thing with Carter Verhaeghe, what we saw last season, he raised his shot rate almost double year over year. And the big thing for me was, can he sustain it? Can he maintain that going into this season? And the answer is yes. He currently has the exact same shot rate as we saw in 2022 when he scored 42 goals. Now, you may be saying to yourself, why do I always talk about shot rate? If you're shooting the puck, you're going to score goals, you're getting good offensive chances, and you're going to put up points. There is so much correlation between shot rate and points that this is the main stat that I like to look at on top of average time on ice. The next indicator for Carter Verhaeghe is the shot attempts. I couldn't believe how high his shot attempts were, and he's currently on pace for 570 shot attempts, which is 100 more than we saw in 2022. And if these shots convert to shots on goal, he has the upside to be a 50 goal scorer this season. Again, 100 more shot attempts than we saw in 2022 when he scored 42 goals. Almost a 25% increase, and 50 goals is definitely in the realm of possibilities for Verhaeghe, although he has just 6 in 14 games. Now, his 100 shot attempts in 14 games ranks him 19th amongst all players in the entire NHL. A very impressive stat. Some players I would look to trade away for Carter Verhaeghe: Brandon Hagel, William Karlsson, and Mason McTavish. There is no better way to take advantage of this Arizona Coyotes offense than going after their #1 defenseman in Sean Durzi. He's the clear-cut #1 guy there. There's really no competition on the back end, and he's currently playing a pair 1 power play 1 role, which he's held for the entire season. He's at a career high 23 minutes and 45 seconds time on ice. He has never been over 20 minutes per night in his entire career, so it's really exciting to see a young defenseman like Durzi step into a role like this with Jakob Chychrun now on the Ottawa Senators, and playing extremely well. 14 games played, 5 goals, 10 points, 5 points on the power play, and 30 shots on goal. Arizona right now currently has the 7th best power play and the 13th highest goals for per 60. They've been extremely strong offensively. A lot of their top 6 players have been good except for Verhaeghe, which we may get to in another video. But with Sean Durzi right now, you get a guy that's going to be playing big minutes for the entire season while putting up a bunch of points. The upside for him this year, 60 points, 150 shots, 150 blocks, and 25 plus power play points. He's just 78% roster. The name just isn't big enough yet, and he's on a team that is not in a big market, meaning a lot of people just really don't know what they have if they own him. Some players I would look to trade away to grab Sean Durzi: William Karlsson, not Eric, Filip Hronek, and Ryan Hartman. This Minnesota Wild team has not been as good defensively as you hope, but they have been very strong offensively. And with Matt Boldy struggling right now, I expect this team to eventually turn it around. Boldy last season was arguably a league winner with how good he was. 81 games played, 31 goals, 63 points, and 255 shots. He was a staple in the top 6 and on power play 1, especially when Kirill Kaprizov went down. Boldy had that outstanding February and March. And so far this season, he hasn't been as good as you've hoped. Just 1 goal in 8 games played on 24 shots, a 4% shooting percentage, which is down from his career 13% shot shooting percentage. He's currently skating line 2, power play 1. The minutes are the exact same like we saw last season, just over 18 minutes per night. His 21.71 shot attempts per 60 ranks him 21st in the NHL, a very elite shot attempt rate, while the shot rate just hasn't caught up yet. He currently, in those top 21 players, he has the lowest goal rate by almost 50%. So expect these numbers to eventually come back from a guy who is coming off of a 31 goal season just a season prior. Now, the Minnesota Wild, although they're giving up chances and they're giving up a bunch of goals, they currently are top 10 in Corsi for per 60 and top 10 in goals for per 60. So as a team, they are producing a bunch of offense. They're just not putting the puck in the back of the net like we've seen last year. With Matt Boldy, he currently has top 50 upside, and he's valued at about 100 plus right now. A lot of people just don't have their eyes on a guy that should have been taken, I think, in the top 50 in most leagues. Some players I would look to trade away to acquire Matt Boldy: Joe Pavelski, Martin Necas, and Jonathan Marchessault. Finally, the last player that I'd be looking to trade for, Joonas Korpisalo of the Ottawa Senators. Just 76% rostered. The Ottawa Senators team has been a lot better than they've looked on paper so far, and Joonas Korpisalo is the starting goalie. He's the guy there. He has 10 starts in the first 13 games for the Senators, and I don't expect this to change. He's a workhorse goalie. He should easily have a 75% start share for the rest of the season. We should easily see 60 plus starts if he can stay healthy. In October, he wasn't really good. An .897 save percentage and a .297 goals against average. And then things went in reverse in November with a .915 save percentage and a .327 goals against average. A much better November from a save percentage standpoint. The goals, he was still leaking some. I did watch that game against the Detroit Red Wings where he ended up giving up like 5 goals on 14 shots. Just wasn't a good showing. But over his last 4 games, he has given up 3 goals or less, and that's what we're hoping to see long-term for Korpisalo. Now, the big thing with me and goaltenders, they've been extremely hard to predict this season. I'm sure most people that are watching this video right now are having trouble finding that number 1 or number 2 goalie, but you have to look at the team in front of them and how they're performing. The Ottawa Senators this season, a 50.64% Corsi for percentage ranks them 13th in the league, a 52% shots for percentage ranks them 9th in the league, and a 53% goals for percentage ranks them 8th amongst all NHL teams. So they are top 10 in 2 of my 3 favorite stats when looking at advanced analytics for some teams. And right now, I think with Korpisalo, you're actually acquiring him at the absolute bottom. With Korpisalo, his value is at a season low right now. I think you can acquire him for really not a lot. And I think it's a great opportunity for you to grab a goalie 2 or a goalie 1. It really depends on your league. Some players I would look to trade away to acquire Korpisalo: Boone Jenner, Filip Hronek, and Jeff Skinner. That will do it for these 7 players to trade for video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.